Seen anything like this?
No, it's pretty incredible. What's the occasion?
No occasion. I mean, that's the thing. Every Sunday night here in Merida, like 1,000 people show up and they just start dancing and eating and hanging out.
Wow, it's my kind of town.
Yep.
Wait, did you say eating?
Muchas gracias, señorita.
So good.
They are one of my favorite things on the planet. These are Marquesitas, and they're a little bit like the Italian crespelle or the French gaufrettes. They're totally, absolutely fabulous. You know, what you do is to heat up this iron. I mean, the iron makes it not exactly home cooking, but more like what you'd find in a street stall. And when it gets really hot, you put this simple batter in there and then press down the top plate. So you squish out that batter until it's absolutely as thin as can be. Flip it a few times until it's golden brown. Then when you open up the iron, you start rolling that thing up before it's cooled down and crisped completely. But the cool thing here in Yucatán is that you can get some very unusual and delicious fillings to roll into your marquesita. My favorite is the cajeta. That's the goat's milk caramel. But another one that you find here that's so popular is the shredded queso de bola, or Edam cheese, the Dutch Edam cheese. It's salty and it's really delicious. Put the two together and you've got an absolutely winning combination. That's what I've got here. What'd you get, Lanie?
I got Nutella, my favorite.
Nutella chocolate with hazelnut. That's a favorite the world around. Let's go see what we can find over here.
Okay. You know, we really ought to get one of these irons at home.
We have one of those irons. This is it. It's a crumb caca iron.
You brought that all the way down here.
Well, yes, because I thought some of these people might like to see how you could make these fabulous marquesitas at home. You can go into practically any restaurant supply or any cookware shop, and you can find a crumb caca iron. That's the Scandinavian version, but it makes, well, a little bit smaller one, but equally as delicious. And you know, the batter is so simple to make. I thought you folks would like to see how to do that too.
You're crazy.
Okay, so look at this. There's about 1/3 of a cup of sugar in here and 1/2 cup of flour. Could you hand me that oil over there? I'm just going to ask you to just glug it in until we have about 6 tablespoons of it. I'll tell you when. Good. Now, that bottle of water, open it up and add it about 1/2 cup. Again, I'll tell you to when we're ready for it. Oh, there was a little pinch of, okay, good. There was a little pinch of salt in there too, because a little bit of savory is nice with the sweet as well. Now, there's some eggs over there. Dump them on in here. This is a kind of eggy batter. There's 3 eggs that are going to go into the mix. You just stir this up until it's completely smooth, and then you want to let it stand for about an hour before you use it. Here, hold this for a second, Lanie. So when you're ready to make your little mini marquesitas, you put your crumb caca iron directly over the heat. I use about a medium heat, and a gas flame will work the very best, and let it heat completely. You'll want to put just a little bit of oil over the surface of both of these plates. Okay, so once it's heated, then you're going to put about 1.5 tablespoons of that batter in there. It doesn't take very much at all. Close it down and then press really hard. You'll see a little bit of the batter come to the edge, and then you'll know it's going to be absolutely thin. After about 30 seconds, you're going to want to flip it over and cook it on the other side, another 30 seconds or so. And when you open it up, well, you should see something that's golden brown. That's your opportunity to take it off, put your little bit of filling in there, and roll it up so your marquesita is ready. I'll tell you, it's really pretty easy to make such a delicious street food at home.
Double weird. This is the best pineapple orange juice I've ever had.
I thought you might like it after all that activity on the square last night.
Yeah.
You know, here at the Santa Ana Market in Merida, well, snacking seems to be an all-night, all-day marathon. I know that for some of you, eating little savory 2-bite snacks for breakfast might seem a little bit odd, but around here, well, it seems like it's a daily routine. Let me show you what I mean. I'll be right back. Now, as in a lot of places in Mexico, a lot of the snack food will start with fresh-made corn and tortillas. So it's not surprising that in and amongst a lot of the little snack stalls, there'll be a tortilleria or a little tortilla factory or puesto, as they might call it. They've got one of those classic old tortilla pressing machines that bakes the tortillas. They come up off that conveyor belt and then they'll group them all up here and weigh them out and sell them to the vendors. Now, what goes into those fresh-made corn tortillas might surprise you here in the Yucatán. Classic for fillings are all of these fish and seafood preparations. One of my favorite things to eat here is ceviche. This one looks like it's made out of octopus, or there's squid in its ink over here. Here's another preparation, tangy escabeche, also looks like with octopus. Right in the back, there's one of my very favorite, the reddish one. That's shrimp a la diabla with red chile, kind of spicy and luscious. Just pack those cool fillings in those warm corn tortillas and you have an amazingly delicious snack. Now over here, we'll find a lot of the classic snacky food, separate from the seafood tacos. And well, here's a list. We can just kind of go down through them because this will illustrate what most people expect to eat when they come here. Salbutes, panuchos, tacos, with a lot of different fillings other than the seafood ones I just showed you. The vaporcitos, which are the little corn husk wrapped steamed tamales, and then tamales colados. Oh man, I love those things. They're wrapped in banana leaves, and well, the masa filling sort of reminds me a little bit of polenta. But the first two, salbutes and panuchos. I've got one of each right here, and let me explain to you the difference between the two. The salbute is a pressed out corn tortilla, but it's never baked. It's dropped right into the oil. You can see it's kind of puffy and super tender. On the top of it, well, there's a classic filling here. I'm not sure how to describe it to you. They call it relleno negro, black filling, because it's made from this jet black paste, recado negro. It's jet black because they fill it full of these burnt chilies. But believe me, this stuff is absolutely delicious. They put it on there with shredded turkey and sliced hard-boiled egg. There's a little ground pork in there as well. But now on to the panucho. Very, very classic. Now this is made from a finished tortilla, but I don't know if you can see right in there. The tortilla has puffed during the baking, and they split it open, put some beans inside of it, and fry it until it's just about crisp. On the top is more shredded turkey in escabeche with pickled red onions. Very tangy, very delicious, very beautiful. But now, since this is morning, these snacks are eaten all morning long, you could imagine that juice could play a pretty big part of all of this. So there'll be little stalls all the way along that offer fabulous juice drinks and different kinds of chopped up fruit. A lot of the local offerings like papaya and watermelon. But look down here, there's some chopped fruit. Not only is there the papaya and some melon in there, but they got that wonderful black and white dragon fruit, or what's called pitaya here, along with some pineapple and watermelon. But this stall also has one of the other great local offerings, and that's carne asada. Now look at this sign up here. When you see tortas or tacos of carne asada, in most places in Mexico, you'll assume that it's made out of beef, thin-cut beef. But here, it's thin-cut pork that's salted and peppered and seared on a very hot griddle and served with caramelized onions, either in a sandwich form, like what they call the torta here, like a submarine sandwich, or in one of those fresh corn tortillas, my favorite. But if you want the full effect in the Yucatán, you got to drizzle on a little bit of this habanero salsa. Hey, what'd you find?
Choco flan.
Choco flan. What is choco flan?
Well, I think it's chocolate cake with some flan baked on top.
Now that sounds almost impossible. Is it good?
I love it, and I love the Snack-a-Thon.
So if you're looking for something for a party, or maybe just for a first course for a nice dinner, those Salbutes really could be just the ticket.
Are we having a party?
I was thinking just a snack.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Okay, so to make those Salbutes, the first thing you got to do is to make the little tortilla-like base to it. And we start with masa. This is the fresh masa here. But you can also use the reconstituted dried masa mix. You can see it says instant corn masa flour. You can buy that at Mexican groceries or at a lot of the grocery stores nowadays. So I want you to mix that up while I make some of the toppings. But we've got to add a little bit of flour, just regular old all-purpose flour to it. A touch of baking powder, that'll help them puff. And then, of course, a nice sprinkling of salt will go over that. Now, if you could just work those things in, adding just enough water to give it the consistency of like a soft cookie dough, something like that. Okay, so the topping that I've chosen to go on it, one of my favorite things, is the escabeche of chicken. I'm going to show you a very simple version of it. And it's going to start with some sliced white onion being sauteed with some olive oil, actually a good amount of olive oil, because an escabeche is a little bit like a vinaigrette. So we're going to take olive oil, put it into a pan that I have heated over medium heat, and then scoop all of this onion in there. Then we're going to saute it until it turns to a beautiful deep golden brown. So the onions are a beautiful rich brown. I've got garlics, whole cloves that are peeled, and I've cut them in half. Those will go into the skillet, and then give those a toss around with the browned onions on top of it. We'll put some sliced up pickled jalapenos. Those will certainly give this a beautiful flavor. And now we get to the part that makes this escabeche, I think, and that's the herbs and the spices. We've got allspice, freshly ground, Mexican oregano, and coarsely ground black pepper. All of that will go into the skillet. We'll give it the vinegar to go with that oil, about 1/4 cup. It's a tangy preparation. And about a cup of chicken broth, and just let that simmer for about 15 minutes. Now, while that's cooking away, we'll talk about the other toppings that'll go onto the Salbutes. Ripe tomato cut in slices, ripe avocado in slices, and a few pieces of green leaf lettuce that we'll tear into small bits that'll give a beautiful color and texture to the Salbutes. So the escabeche is simmered until all the flavors have come together. I moved it over here, and I've got some shredded cooked chicken. We just bought a rotisserie chicken for that and shredded it off the bone. Sprinkle on a little bit of salt, and then I'm going to stir the whole thing together. And we're off to making the Salbutes. Turn this off, just let it sit there and mellow. All that chicken will absorb those beautiful escabeche flavors. Okay, so Lanie's divided the masa into 12 balls, and we're going to make them, flatten them just like we would tortillas. So I've got 2 sheets of heavy clear plastic, and I put one of the balls in between there. Give it a very gentle press, because you don't want it to be too big, about 4 inches across, and unmold it like you would a tortilla. Peeling off the top piece of plastic, then unmolding that uncooked tortilla right onto your hand. Now, for salbutes, that's going to just go right straight into hot oil. This is heated to about 375 degrees. Lanie, if you want to keep pressing them out,
cool.
And we will fry them one by one. So now it's almost crispy, but not quite. Salbutes should still be a nice tenderness to them, but they're flaky, you see that? I'll put one of them over here. While Lanie's pressing and frying the rest of those, we'll put all the toppings on, starting with a beautiful little piece of lettuce, a couple little pieces of tomato, a nice slice of avocado, and then a spoonful of chicken and escabeche to go right over the top of that.
Well, the Snack-a-Thon continues.
Okay. So to tell you just how important the snacking culture is here in Merida, this place is called a centro botanero, a snacking center. You sort of think of botanas as kind of like tapas or dim sum. Well, this place, a little afternoon, will start to fill up, and by the middle of the afternoon, it'll be jam-packed, the band will be going, and you slide into one of the tables here and order a round of beverages, and then all this free food just starts to arrive. And then the more rounds of beverages that you order, the more free food comes, and it's great food, regional food. It'll probably surprise you, unlike any kind of Mexican food you've probably ever seen. Look at this. These are little tacos here that are of relleno blanco. It's kind of like a pork meatloaf with some olives and raisins, sweet spices, and a little shredded chicken on the top. This is that relleno negro that I showed you this morning, also in little tacos. Over here, you'll find some kibbeh. Now, this kibbeh is a leftover from all of the Lebanese population that's here. It's cracked wheat with some meat in it, formed into little patties and fried. Over here, there's some, what they call brazo de reina, the queen's arm. It's a tamal that's got chaya ground up into it, that wonderful spinach-like leaf, little tomato sauce, and some pumpkin seeds on the top. These are cocitos. Little crispy tortillas rolled up, doused with tomato sauce, and this wonderful cheese that'll remind you for all the world of goat cheese. Now we've got over here some little cabbage rolls. They're stuffed with pork, doused with tomato sauce, some enchiladas here, and what's in front of Lanie over here is one of my favorite sausages in the world. It's called longaniza. It's achiote flavored, but very heavily smoked. And then, of course, here we've got the classic old dish they call Dzik. What do you think?
Gotta try the Dzik.
Okay, here I'm digging into it. It's great. It's shredded meat with radishes and cilantro, a little chili in there.
And I just love saying it.
It's good food. That cold beef salad's just the ticket on a hot summer day. Think about those Vietnamese and Thai cold meat salads, and you kind of get the idea now. Traditionally in the Yucatan, Dzik has been made with venison, cooked in a pit in the ground, which isn't exactly accessible to all of us. So my approach to it is to use beef, like people are starting to do a lot in the Yucatan, and my choice is flank steak because it shreds so beautifully. So what I've done here is to simmer cubes of flank steak and water to cover. I like to throw in a little garlic and onions and the 3 classic herbs, the hierbas de olor. They're always sold together in Mexico, the marjoram and the thyme and the bay. Once that is simmered until the meat is completely tender. It'll take you about an hour or so. If you've got time, just let it cool off in the broth because that will give you the juiciest meat. Let's see what I've got here. And it's all ready for shredding into little pieces. Now we got to shred that up, but we also have to chop all of these vegetables here. Radishes and tomatoes and red onion, some habanero chili, some cilantro, and we'll just toss all of that together in one great big bowl. Squeeze on some fresh lime juice. Give it a nice sprinkling of salt. Toss all of that together and lay it out onto a lettuce-lined platter. I'm going to show you a little trick. This gets a garnish of diced avocado. So I'm going to show you a nice little trick for how to dice that with these Hass avocados. These are the real thick-skinned, dark-skinned ones. Cut around the pit like that. Twist the 2 sides apart. And then with the side that doesn't have the pit, score right up against that rather tough skin. You have to go gently with this. And then use a spoon to scoop this diced avocado out right where you want it. Okay, so then I'm going to just divide it all up now over this beautiful aromatic Dzik with its...
Hey, Poppy, is that Dzik?
Well, that would be Dzik.
Snack-a-Thon.
All right, well, help yourself.
Ilustradores del río, inventos en la corriente, y como el cariño mío, apasionado y ardiente, porque la bondad que ellos entregan siempre con sol y dueño, paloma Dios de Navidad, que tiene enfrente la borroja y espera en boca del otro lado.
Okay, Lanie, you ready for another round?
I don't know, my feet kind of hurt.
I don't mean dancing, I mean snacking. You know, I think I saw some shrimp tacos over there that look pretty good. Come on.
I don't know. I was thinking about giving those Marquesitas another try.
Well, let's go then. Is that tamale? I think those are tamales I smell. Let's go check that out. It smells pretty good to me.